Welcome back into European Masters. We're jumping right into Champions League with Movistar Riders taking on Team Singularity. Team Singularity out of the Nordic region are trying to see if they can bounce back. Similar to how YDN were able to. They pulled off the upset against BTXL earlier, but now they're going up again here for Team Singularity, going up against Movistar Riders, who were able to take down the favorites of the tournament, Schalke 04, earlier.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these bans. Immediately, you're seeing Movistar Riders. We're going with the classics, going with the strong meta picks that you want to get rid of. On the other side, very specifically targeted ones, rhuckz, big Thresh main, a lot of kind of major champions being taken away from Movistar.
So I don't know if you got to watch the LCK earlier, but Graves being banned here is, if you ask me, a shout out to the fact that it was a first pick that came in from T1 on that Graves for their jungler, trying to see how they could play that. And I'm kind of surprised to see that Team Singularity are like, okay, Eloya, we're afraid that you're going to play that. We're not afraid of the Karthus. We're afraid more about the damage that you can output in a properly organized team fight.
Is this getting to the point where everyone's just going to lock their own champions? Okay, thankfully we're changing that up. The two top laners likely locked. I expect that's going to be interesting that they haven't gone for the Senna that is left up at the moment, and the Aphelios also there, but with the Thresh taken away, maybe feeling a little less comfortable on that.
Well, I would be surprised. I don't think that Movistar actually even need to worry about Senna, because Team Singularity haven't put any priority around that. Usually they're the ones who ban it, take it away. Raya hasn't really touched that all year, so going for this Taric, I want to see what they're going to be able to pair up with this. With Team Singularity, they've been playing around late game. They were always trying to scale up. You think even to the other day, where they were trying to see how they could build a Vayne composition and have almost the Juggernaut with Vayne and how that would work. They are more about waiting out, but that is also what Movistar do.
Kroghsen often considered kind of the kind of stalwart of the team, someone who just consistently does their job and is there when they need him. Gonna lock in the Azir, very strong pick. We've talked about being very high pick priority. Also managed to drop down to that second rotation and get nicely picked up there for Singularity.
Singularity, again, doubling down on that late game scaling, trying to see if they're going to be able to work it out, wait for the objectives, wait for that mid to late game. But looking over towards Movistar, they lock in LeBlanc for Xico, saying that this is going to be more of the classic kind of counter towards Azir, also being able to rotate around the map pretty well. Looking at both of these teams, Tyke, how do you expect to see these pair up? Because we were talking before that both these teams scale, but Movistar have had better avenues in the past of being able to shirk that responsibility, trying to wait out the game, and instead have been able to play that early game.
Yeah, I genuinely think Movistar are coming in as the stronger team. Before draft, that's what you're looking at. But looking at the draft as well, I think they're getting a lot of things they're quite comfortable on. Xico, yes, moving away from maybe some of the standard mages you might remember from some of his domestic performances, but can also get this counter matchup running and just run down Singularity, who have had relatively weak performances in their group thus far.
I like the Tristana ban that came in from Movistar. They hovered it for a second, reminded them that Raya plays that a lot, and Movistar answered like, okay, we know that that's one of your most played champions. We're just going to ban it. We're not going to worry about it.
It's not just that, but Tristana Taric is really good because you can, of course, time the rocket jump with the stun and play very aggressive with it. So, avoiding that entirely. It is 10.7, of course, so none of the Tristana buffs from 10.8 have come in.
You're talking about Taric. I'm thinking that Azir and Ornn paired up with more than Taric just because of the late game scaling, being able to really say we're about clearing out the waves. We could have a better chance of winning that lane against a Kalista as well. All you have to do is clear it out, wait it out, never try to actually fight. And looking at this Rakan now for Movistar, I'm looking at how this is more saying that we understand that you like to wait at the game. You don't want to really play around these early or mid-game team fights. The Rakan's going to be able to do that very effectively with JaVaaa already having Kalista.
You see the Kindred gets locked in. We've seen this matched into Karthus before, which I think is what they're probably expecting from Eloya. That or a tank. Kindred does well into both, because you can match scaling with the Karthus. You could take out tanks as Kindred as well. So, interesting lock there. Or you could actually be going for the AD carry Kindred.
Wait, what?
Yes, this has shown up occasionally. Haven't seen Singularity bring it out before, but interesting go for it. Almost certainly the call here. Can jump forward with the Taric stun. Similar to Tristana, but obviously a lot less standard in that bot lane.
See, you're not even thinking of the way I'm thinking it. I'm looking at this, it's Kindred Taric. The invulnerability they're going to have for the team. You got Lamb's Respite, you got Cosmic Radiance. They're just trying to never die. They look at LeBlanc, now Qiyana, and saying, we're just not going to worry about that. But the problem with having something like this is you have to be able to survive long enough. Lamb's Respite will be able to delay, sure, so you don't get bursted down before Cosmic Radiance will drop. That's all delaying the inevitable. Plus, it's a Qiyana that's now locked in on the other side. She can shove you out, easily use Supreme Display of Talent to push you out of Lamb's Respite, and make it so that you're completely nullified.
Yeah, and also Eloya, this is his most played jungle champion. We were talking about the Karthus being the more standard, being the more expected one, but now that you see a matchup that you might be comfortable taking the Qiyana into, Eloya goes for it straight away.
And the thing is, he's undefeated on Qiyana too. He's won every game that he's played on it this season. He's 5-0, has a 6.0 KDA on this champion as well. But the problem for me is that Qiyana has received a lot of nerfs to her jungling. You think about how they changed the Terra shape, her W, to not have that passive attack speed as much early on, where she's going to be a lot slower, and it's competing against Gragas, something that is effective at clearing very quickly, that can punish Eloya on this Qiyana.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it now. I expect the way to deal with that is try to consistently gank, try to make very aggressive plays with the likes of Xico in the mid lane, just going for these really hard engage, hard burst combos. That will be what I'm waiting to see from Movistar.
We'll see if that is going to work out that way, if they're going to be able to get the burst that they want to, get these flanks, and have Xico and Eloya pretty much be the goon squad, work themselves together, always be able to flank whenever possible. Plus they have rhuckz there too, to be able to help divide and conquer Team Singularity.
Okay, so everyone's going to be looking now down towards this bot lane. You want to know what the story with the Kindred is. We talked a little bit about the strengths individually, but let's talk about the lane in general. The reason you don't see Kindred down there, very difficult for you to get stacks. You might want to roll the dice early, see if you can manage to get that going on that first crab. But realistically, picking up stacks early on going to be very difficult for you. You want to play very aggressive so you can find more picks, start stacking up that way. And that's how you kind of scale towards the later stage of the game. Once you get out of laning phase, obviously, much easier.
Right, isn't it less about scuttle crabs and more about having Skrude in the bot lane? That way you don't need to farm any of the jungle camps. Farm the enemy opponents. Get them instead. I don't think that the jungle is really where you have to focus.
Exactly. I think that's what happens, because otherwise you rolling the dice tends not to be the consistent call here. But see now how this ends up working out. You can see actually the electrocute on the Azir in the mid lane, responding to the electrocute from LeBlanc, just looking for very quick trades to punish the LeBlanc early on.
Looking to push out this lane effectively, beat Xico as many times as possible. Kroghsen is more of the team player, has been about surviving the lane and then rotating later on. Now going into a matchup trying to win it is a different style than we've seen from this Nordic squad, where it isn't about Kroghsen being the carry. It's usually about reje or it's about Nille being the carries.
Yeah, there's a lot still to kind of play towards. I think the strange comps have kind of thrown it, but as you said, they still have a consistent style they want to go for. They probably want to play towards that bot lane, but now having to play into a Kindred, into a Taric, can be difficult to make very aggressive plays. As you said, post 6. So I'm interested to see how this early game goes for this lane.
This is weird. Checking out this bot lane, seeing how that's kind of been working out, and it's exactly what you'd expect a Kindred ADC lane to be having happen. It's getting shoved in. Kalista and Rakan are threatening that they could easily get the knockup, since Kindred doesn't have that much range early on. This is a difficult time to match up against Kalista, trying to just compete over every single minion, especially this cannon that's about to come up. If you can put the pressure on now, rhuckz, you can really put reje behind.
Yeah, we were saying we might be expecting to see Eloya make aggressive early plays. It's actually stuck to farming the jungler, the jungle. is a bit slower than the Gragas as expected. As you said, those attack speed nerfs really hurting the Qiyana, one of the reasons you don't see her in the jungle anymore. But so far, having a relatively okay time.
That's the thing, is while it has hurt her, it's similar to Sylas, where Sylas had a bunch of changes trying to take him out of the jungle. It didn't fully take him out. He's not as prevalent, but he is still seen there a couple times here and there. Same with Qiyana. You just have to wait a little bit more.
A lot of it comes from the difference between pro and solo queue jungle as well, because obviously the attack speed will hurt solo queue that little bit more. The kind of slower clears as well means that you're just not able to keep up with your opponents, whereas in pro play you tend to see jungle play that little bit slower generally, might give you a little bit more time to farm that out.
Skrude, I thought, was looking for that dive. Got Xico pretty low in the mid lane. Kroghsen's been doing it what you expect when you go for electrocute, but in the bot lane there is going to be the 2v2 action. JaVaaa already exhausted, took a big bite out of Wolf, getting the flash, having to cleanse too, just to be able to survive Rhea. That works very well for this lane, being able to push back against Kalista.
Yeah, you can see now Riot jumping forward on this Kindred, looking for more. Has the inbuilt heal as well, that kind of natural sustain. It's almost like you get fleet footwork without having to take it too. On top of press the attack, is that when you get into these longer skirmishes, Kindred can really start to chunk out.
Exactly, and it's going to make it so you're always pushing back in. JaVaaa, even though Hail of Blades for Kalista can do a lot of damage respectively as well, you need to be able to lock down Raya before you have this Kindred starting to chunk you out and healing up every single time. You never want to lose out to a Kindred ADC. It kind of feels like maybe you need a little bit more help. You need to have rhuckz doing more to be able to push back and deny this Kindred from scaling.
Actually gone for the double Dorans as well. The triple Dorans. Okay,
Whoa,
this is going straight up. I want to kill you right now.
Well,
this is the old kind of Rengar top style build where you're going purely for excessive trade power as soon as possible.
well, Raya did put the mark on to JaVaaa, so it makes sense that you want to be able to farm your enemy. You want to be able to farm the champions, not get camps, because you need to be able to get up to 4 stacks as quickly as possible. Mid lane, Kroghsen is going to be geared up.
Oh!
The flash, Skrude, where you going? The kill's the other way. Eloya was able to get first blood. The stun is going to connect, but rhuckz is here to be able to get the knockup back up onto Skrude and get the flash out of Gragas, so he's going to be able to get out of that one. But Eloya, Xico, make a good play and get the kill on the Kroghsen.
Yeah, it's a nice little move there from the Qiyana. We'll watch it again. The big thing, as you said, is that you get the immediate flash in from Eloya, avoiding the Gragas body slam as well. And you see Eloya then tries to go for a stun, but doesn't quite land it. But coming back to the present. This is actually Kindred marked as well, but going to be taken away.
They're trying to make sure that they're
Skrude
constantly
is in the
fighting
area.
that. It makes sense that you know this is going to be marked. Take it away so that Raya's not going to be able to push the wave in a little bit, get at least one of these stacks. As many stacks as you can deny early on, the longer it takes for Team Singularity to get to that power, to get to the late game, like their composition demands.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see, again, you're putting that later game further and further off of this Doran stacking bot lane, so you really do have to snowball off of it if you want to make it work. Interested to see what the plan is. I presume Skrude is going to put a lot of attention down into this lane. Hasn't quite hit 6 yet, though.
This is what we wanted to see Skrude do. We try to get into that bot lane, try to see if he can harass JaVaaa as many times as possible, but Vayu hasn't gotten Dazzle to connect it just yet. Finally connects. Good knockup comes in from rhuckz to be able to deny that engage, but JaVaaa takes so much damage. Finally, the mark goes in for Raya with rhuckz pushed back underneath the turret just to be able to survive. Skrude finally makes a play work that is going to help and benefit Singularity in this mid game.
Able to now push in as the Kindred. Kind of getting some of the worth off of that Doran's Blade stack by getting that kill. So as we said, that's why we wanted the jungler down there. Skrude responds, goes for the play, makes it happen, starts this Kindred into the long stacking game ahead. So let's have a look at this. You see Skrude actually hovering at the very edge of the vision range of that ward. Finally hits the Predator as he's seen. So goes for the immediate heavy engage. rhuckz does a good job trying to prevent it. But at the end of the day, you can only body block so many things. And eventually, that is the Kindred picking up a kill. That first stack ready to go.
You feel bad for JaVaaa and rhuckz too, because they have that control ward there. They thought that they had been playing that one safe, but there was no flash for JaVaaa still, having blown that earlier in that fight between Raya and Vayu. It means that it's going to be very easy to get Kalista. She hasn't been able to get as many attacks that you'd like her to have, so she can escape danger that much easier. But it's only 1 kill. And this is something Movistar can bounce back from. You see that they're playing around the top side. Eloya looking to get this Rift Herald so that they can maybe go into, I'd say, the mid lane, be able to use Shelly and push back in Kroghsen.
Yeah, you're going to be able to pick up this Herald, it looks like, relatively easily. Uncontested. You will lose like a plate, maybe 2 bot lane.
Yeah,
Wonder if Kindred goes for the mark. Might be a bit aggressive, but with the Herald being taken, it is an option.
As you can see, right there is the Krog right there. Could have gone for it. I actually expected that. You know that Rift Herald is the play for Movistar. You already have attention from Skrude.
Yeah, here it is.
There it is. I was waiting for that. They get the Infernal Dragon, take that, immediately rotate so they can get these stacks for Raya. It's 4 stacks that you have to have Kindred on where she can get that extra damage, the extra range, and be a little bit stronger in this mid game.
Yeah, each stack helping out a lot, but yeah, as you said, there's specific marks that you want to hit that'll give you that little bit of extra range that are the real heavy hitters when it comes to the scaling.
There's Shelly popped in the top lane. It's going to be a race to see who's going to be able to get this first turret gold. Nille does not want it to be the top lane, but unfortunately, Call of the Forge God does not clear out the minion waves well enough. It will be first turret going over to Movistar's bot lane. beansu just waiting it out, doing the same thing that Nille wanted to do in the top lane, but a little bit more effective since there are 3 in the top side.
Yeah, and that first tower helps swing the gold in favor of Movistar after the play, but having picked up some stacks, having picked up the Infernal Dragon, not the worst position in the world. Still relatively even between Singularity and Movistar here.
You can see where the gold has been spread out. A lot of that is onto Eloya. Being one of the assassins, it's going to be nice for Qiyana to start to leading people in this mid game. You want to be able to jump onto Kroghsen before Emperor's Divide can come out, or maybe even get onto Raya before Lamb's Respite can be used. Make it so that there's less of a chance for that long time of invulnerability with Lamb's Respite into Cosmic Radiance to be able to keep Singularity alive for well longer than they rightfully should be.
Now, interestingly, we were talking about this before the game, where Movistar have leaned towards going for these kind of scaling comps. Generally, that's been their most successful style. They've tried other styles, other kind of earlier win conditions, and it's been fairly limited in success. This time around, they're playing against a team who've gone decently heavy into the scaling with the Kindred, the Azir, and the Ornn. So later on, they might start to struggle. So interested to see if they can now kind of learn to pull the trigger that little bit earlier.
This is the first time we have seen Movistar go for this type of composition. They were past 2 times we've seen them, they've tried to go for the scaling. They've tried to wait it out, but Nille could be dove by Eloya. A lot of damage was put out by beansu. It's pretty early, still has yet to be able to get that Abyssal Mask, and you can see that Nille realizes this is not a good spot, getting too close to the wall. Where's the supreme display of talent? Not even needed. Eloya gets a clean dive with beansu. The teleport used by Kroghsen. Comes Skrude as well, looking for Emperor's Divide to be able to push them back. A lot of damage comes in from Skrude. Eloya blown up as beansu gets some help coming in from Xico, turning it around onto Skrude, who has to go golden. Kroghsen still dishing out the damage, but it is going to be Skrude who loses the life. The ignite ticking flashes everywhere, but it's going to be the kill. We look in the bot lane where more fighting continues. Kroghsen died with the ignite ticking on his head, but bot lane is so close. There might be another dive that Singularity wants to go for. This time looking for JaVaaa, who's running for the hills, trying to get out of there, saying abandon ship, it's no use trying to save this turret. rhuckz going back towards the teammate. Good from Raya to try to get the kill, but beansu not going to let that happen too easily. Nille has teleported into the fight as well, continuing the fight with JaVaaa turning around to pick up the kill on the Raya. Call of the Forge God going to be able to get the knock-up onto Rakan, who's trying to get out face call to be able to keep him alive. The flash comes in to be able to get the knock-up coming in from Nille. Another flash from rhuckz. This fight has been going on all across the map, and it does not look like it's going to end just yet because there's another contender behind. Eloya able to show up. Good knockback in onto Nille. Looking for one more tick. It is going to be the kill for JaVaaa, with Skrude having arrived, saying, I wish I could have saved you.
That was a long, drawn-out fight. The important thing there, though, one of the reasons you're seeing Ornn able to be dropped in that first engage and then falling down again, he's been forced to obviously stack the magic resist in the matchup up against Maokai. Except everyone who's killing him now is completely AD focused. So you can see that from Eloya and then the Kalista at the end. But let's look at, this is the re-engage after that first pick. It's instant burst coming out from Skrude, but you do manage to get the supreme display of talent off around the Azir wall. It doesn't matter though, because Xico's able to come in here. Yes, the stopwatch happens, but you still pick it up. Now this is the part we missed. This is where Kroghsen does finally go down. I believe it is just to the ticks. No, it's actually just the jump forward with the W. I was wondering if the ult was up. I assumed it wasn't, but don't even need it in the end.
But we gotta go to the spot lane because the fight continued. It was all across the map, and Singularity wanted to get JaVaaa. They looked like they could have gotten him, but they didn't think that there was the TP still available for beansu, thinking, oh, we could follow it up with Nille, but you're so far out. It wasn't really worth
I
it.
figured this would happen. I think that replay would just be too long until something else was happening on the map. End of the day, it was Movistar who managed to get the most kills, even with Singularity going for very aggressive plays. They also didn't have the Taric ultimate up at the time. It is now up for this next fight. The Mountain Drake should be the focus. Predator has been popped, but actually just being used to disengage for the Gragas here.
Movistar, this works well for them. This is what they wanted to do at this mid-game. Fight after fight after fight. Get the picks that they need. Get Eloya some kills. Get Xico some kills. Make sure you are punishing the late game scaling composition that Team Singularity have drafted. This way, they control more aspects of the map. They control around this mountain dragon more than they had before, where it was Raya and Vayu who had been able to push back both JaVaaa and rhuckz, but because it was so messy, so all over the place, it ended up giving this gold to Movistar to be able to now push back these objectives.
See, forcing out the ultimate from Kroghsen nice and early just from the rotation. Means that you're a little less scared of this next team fight that it looks like you're going to force as soon as possible. rhuckz going around.
Skrude should be able to get out there though. It's not the hardest thing for Gragas to just belly flop over. However, with Skrude having to run like that, it means that it's easier inside track onto Rick Herald for the side of Movistar. It's forcing Singularity to have to play over here, and this isn't looking like they can fight. They don't have a backup just yet. They're waiting for JaVaaa and rhuckz to be able to rotate in from the top side, so they have to give up the Rick Herald.
No, they can't fight this because you don't have the TP on the Maokai, and the Maokai's bot lane. There's no hope of you getting in there, so you just have to give it up. Gonna be a nice pickup there for Singularity. Weird timing to try force a Herald. Better to just try play protection around it instead. It's actually gonna be the jump forward here. This is what we discussed beforehand, which is gonna be the aggressive Kindred plays with the Taric E.
Xico is able to get out of there though. It is LeBlanc after all. All she has to do is jump around, distortion to get out. But you're right. The fact that beansu did not have TP that entire time, it was a awkward call coming in from Movistar, thinking maybe that they can push in the top side. They don't have to worry. There's no tier 1 turret in the top lane. They have good vision control on the bottom half of the map, but you need to have that Maokai to be able to absorb a lot of this damage to be able to be there for these fights. If you want to try to fight against Singularity, you might have a lead, but not enough of a lead to be able to be down one man in a fight.
See how this goes now, and of course obviously a lot of their lead is burst based as well, so they're only going to be able to pick off singular targets, so man advantages can be even more important when you're going with a comp such as that.
Thing is, being able to burst one person works well for Movistar. Being able to assassinate Kindred, Raya, is useful when you're able to get this damage out, when you're able to get Lamb's Respite off. You burst her before she's going to be able to get that, well, suddenly you don't have to worry about Cosmic Radiance because that's going to take too long to channel against double assassins on Movistar's side.
Checking back out in with the Kindred, almost certain that it's just the 2 stacks on the Kindred for now, so not exactly some scaling monster just yet.
Not yet at least. You want to be able to get, like I said, it's the 4 stacks that you really need to be able to get, and the fact that we are still only 17 and a half minutes into the game, there are still chances that you can get it. It is onto that Gromp there, so not going to be able to get anywhere near to be able to grab that stack. rhuckz says, I dare you. If you come down towards the bottom half, I'm going to be able to lock you down, knock you up, and try to see if we can pick up another kill for Eloya.
Playing forward now, just playing defensive. It's been a little bit back and forth here. Looking now how the lanes have split up. Looks like they've kind of set up a 1-3-1 on the side of Movistar, are now looking to collapse back into the center of that.
They still have
some
that
pressure down on Kroghsen and Vayu.
Here's Eloya getting a little bit of damage onto Vayu. Kroghsen should be able to clear out these minions pretty easily. Azir, pretty safe, not really too threatened, even if Eloya wanted to go for the dive, and Burst Divide is a good enough tool to be able to deny that entrance into the fight. This is why Movistar really don't want to go for this fight. They just want to be able to put pressure back. They are sieging so many lanes. The 1-3-1 that you talked about. I'm wondering what Singularity can do to get themselves out of this hole.
They need to find that pick, find that fight where they can get the big Azir engaged, the big Gragas engaged. They have Ornn as well. So there's definitely that ability that if you see the numbers advantage, just try force and engage and see if you can pick people off that way. Because in the meantime, they're finding themselves picked. And obviously that is going very dreadfully for them. So a lot of pressure being put down by Movistar up against Singularity.
So Singularity are trying to see if they can hold on, not bleed out too much of the Skrude. Raya is going to be a good target. A little bit of damage just to force off, so yet another turret and more gold into the pockets of Movistar. Playing this one pretty cleanly, just waiting it out, never trying to overextend. They had a couple of those earlier on, but now that they've gotten the picks, they've got the gold lead, they're waiting for the next objective, which is going to be this Ocean Dragon. Always just holding on to their bait in Singularity to fight towards you.
You got the Infinity Edge rush on the Kindred. You've inbuilt attack speed from the Q, so you can get quite a bit out of that if you can manage to land a few crits in those fights. And also the E, really good way of chunking out single targets as well. So if you can find a pick onto a specific carry, this could be your way back in. The game is very much slowed down, but if you look at the gold, it's continued to stay heavily in favor of Movistar, sitting at about a 5k lead there.
Unfortunately, Skrude had to pop the Eye of the Rift Herald all the way in their base because it was about to time out. It's not going to be able to be utilized to try to fight around this Ocean Dragon. Control firmly in the hands of Movistar, where it will be able to get the full charge here in mid, but there is a good chance the fight commences immediately after.
Yeah, we talked about being able to force engages on one side, but Movistar are able to do the same. They look for quick burst onto Raya. Don't quite find it.
Not able to get into the back line just yet. They're holding out, and for Singularity, they have to be so careful when they extend like that. They can easily get blown up. Raya, Vayu even, is too squishy. Kroghsen is trying to be able to stream a shuffle, but he's given an inside track. Well, he got a lot of damage onto the tier 1. They're giving up this damage onto the tier 2 in mid. Knockup comes in onto Eloya, who will be able to get out of there.
You can see when it comes to 5v5, Movistar seem a bit more willing to play that bit further forward. They got the inside track on mid. The Ornn ult comes down, but realistically all it was doing was help clear out that wave, push them away from that tower that they had managed to get the inside track on.
Singularity back to the drawing boards here. Just saying, that didn't work out. We tried playing for that mid lane turret. We're able to get the charge from Shelly. The timer, unfortunately, ran out before they could actually utilize that to contest that Ocean Dragon. So Movistar are going to feel confident after that play. They're going to feel like they have utmost control against Singularity, who have still yet to actually take down any structure. Eloya pushing back here around Baron. Is this what they have to do? Do you think that they go for the call onto the Baron and force a fight?
They really don't want to try rush a Baron right now. They want to get heavy vision control, and if anyone contests, it's most likely going to be a turn away from the Baron and onto that person, try to get a pick onto it. Getting control of the area is the right call. I don't think rushing the Baron might be something Movistar want to do. Even with Kalista, who has decent control over it, I think you just run into too much danger with Singularity maybe running in for a quick burst-based engage.
I agree. The Baron is always it's just a bait. Just start it up. You're not going to be able to finish it in time, even with JaVaaa. I don't think it's fast enough on Kalista. You have Qiyana, LeBlanc, who are more about flanking and fighting the damage onto the backline. It's all trying to see if you can get this fight, because Kroghsen is not going to leave this turret. Raya barely going to venture too far from that tier 2 in the mid lane. It's all about staying safe for Singularity and waiting it out. But they are now 5,000 gold behind Movistar. And if they continue to hemorrhage this gold, it doesn't matter if you are able to contest a Baron. You're going to be about 10,000 gold down by the time you do.
Yeah, and I mean, you can keep an eye on the Kindred stacks, but realistically, most of the reason you play the Kindred at this point is just to be able to jump forward aggressively. You're not playing for the extra range that you'd normally get in the jungle version, but we're going to see rhuckz now.
Good use of that Burst Divide to be able to deny that, but the jump comes in. Ignite ticks. One more. There it is. Xico finds the kill onto Kroghsen, who's thinking that he was safe all by his turret. Good flash away. Skrude has to be careful, but Hava trying to fight against Eloya, getting a lot of damage. Looking for the Ren stack, not able to get it. It's a shutdown for Kindred. They're backing off with beansu. Make sure Lamb's Smite is immediately popped. Here comes the Cosmic Radiance, but he got shoved out before it came. Well done by Eloya to make sure it wasn't going to be the invulnerability forever, so they can now clean up the fight. The bot lane is gone. Only one survives of Singularity, and Movistar immediately turn for Baron.
And that's going to be enough members to do it, but at the same time, you're missing your Kalista. Not a lot of consistent damage. That is the issue. So even with just Ornn left alive with no ultimate, they don't feel comfortable trying to do that Baron. They actually back off, take the wins they got from getting all those kills. So let's watch how this all kicked off. We first see Xico going for the pick onto Kroghsen. Is pretty nicely done, just getting all the W ult damage. rhuckz jumping in there. You said it was a nice Emperor's Divide, but it didn't matter because this is why you see LeBlanc picked as a counter to Azir. It's just that immediate jumping over all of Azir's disengage and trying to burst him out. On the other side, this is the part we didn't see, was the Ornn ult, the attempted hard engage onto JaVaaa, eventually working out, but not without leaving Raya extremely low, and beansu able to come in here for the flank. And as you noted, the nice knockout of the Lamb's Respite just before the Cosmic Radiance can land to burst them and clean it up.
This is why Qiyana was picked, if you ask me, purely to be able to knock out Raya from that Lamb's Respite, saying you cannot have this insane amount of invulnerability from both your ult and the Taric ult. I will make sure to kill you before Cosmic Radiance is able to rain down and keep you alive for a long time. This gives more control back to Movistar, who, like you mentioned, they really couldn't play around the Baron. Unfortunately, were too low and too afraid, but they still have a firm grasp of the jungle of Singularity.
Yeah, they should be able to actually force for this dragon as well. Going to look for a pick in the meantime, but it is worth noting as well that this Qiyana is a pick very heavily played by Eloya. The next most is Karthus. So with the Kindred lock-in, Kindred does extremely well into Karthus because you can deny a lot of his ults in a team fight. Any of those kind of last-minute cleanup kills. So I think the Qiyana of those two ends up being the much more useful one for the reasons you suggested.
And that's what Kick had done to Movistar before. When they locked in Karthus, they locked in Kindred. It's honestly Movistar learning from what happened before in the past, saying, okay, we know what is good against this, we know how to play it, and since Kindred wasn't the counter this time, they got to counter Kindred. They got to find out where it's going, even though it was a flex into that bot lane that is a little bit surprising. It still works the same way.
As you said, yes, it actually works. Honestly, while it can play more aggressive early on, later on it's much easier to deal with because you don't get nearly as many stacks going. So isn't going to be too bad for them.
Speaking of stacks,
looking now,
Xico's still sitting on that Dark Seal at 9 stacks right now. Is this a Magi's game? Would you go Magi's here?
No, I think
come on.
Having sit in the Dark Steel. No, I mean, Magi's is great, especially when you're an immobile champion who really values the move speed. On someone like LeBlanc, it just doesn't seem necessary. Here's the engage.
Kroghsen, too far out. Cosmic Radiance gonna be able to keep Vayu alive, but nobody else has that invulnerability. The damage thrown back onto the Stark, who no longer has the benefit. They're gonna be able to see who else they can take into the grave. Eloya picks up the kill on the Stark. Nille, too far away. Nille dead into the ground. A rampage for Xico. Having that 10th stack on Dark Seal, now I think they get the Baron.
Yeah, gonna be able to run forward. All members near full health, aside from Eloya. Should be a very easy take of this Baron. Uncontested as well. Skrude actually going to show in the bot lane, just in case you were worried about a potential steal. You know the jungler's nowhere nearby. You're going to play forward now. You can see LeBlanc going to pick up that top lane tower as well.
Just trying to get some gold anywhere on the map. Their first turret of the game at 27.5 minutes. Trading that for the tier 2 in top lane. The Baron there. It's as far of a constellation prize as you can get.
Yeah, you're starting to approach now a 9k lead. And let's have a look at how that opened up so quickly. You can see the burst coming in from Eloya, because he's the one you're watching. Big ultimate there onto the Kindred. And we talked about, okay, Kindred can help avoid some of this assassin burst, wait for the Cosmic Radiance to come down. Not if you're CC'd the entire time you're being burst, and then immediately taken out. So a good combo there to remove the Kindred's ability to outplay it. From there, it's very quick cleanup. Yes, a lot of you are burst based, but Kalista is there to back that up with a bit more consistent damage.
Alright, I just did not have a chance to ever ult, and unfortunately, that's what I was talking about. When you have assassins, you make it so Lamb's Respite, it has a very small channel time. If you can kill her before that ever happens, Lamb's not going to be able to help Lamb and Wolf. The Kindred are gone. Dead, like they are, well, isn't their lore their death, I think? That's what, that's how they
are. They are the personification of death.
So
something more important, something a bit more personal to you. They have locked in that Medjay on the other side. So
let's go.
I said it wasn't necessary. You can still play it. It is a good option. It's an economic option considering how the game's going so far. Saves you a lot of money and gets you a lot of AP nice and quickly.
See how many stacks Xico's going to be able to get? There's 4 more. Easily bops Kroghsen. With more contenders showing up into the bot lane, it means that JaVaaa's going to be able to push this mid lane and take yet another turret, more gold into the pockets of Movistar. With Singularity getting bopped yet again. Is it going to be 8 more into the pocket? Yes, it is. Dominating Xico with Eloya able to get the golden off. Trying to survive. Rhuckz into the back line, using the quickness to keep everyone charmed, keeping the assassins alive. They flash over the wall to be able to get out of there. They get away with murder, and they continue to push into Singularity's face, forcing out Lamb's Respite out of Raya, jumping back in, waiting to get the knockup. There's the distortion to connect and get the kill for JaVaaa, but they lost the stacks onto Xico. It doesn't matter. They're all about winning the game, with Nille being the only survivor, finally falling an ace to end it all. And they're going to be the turrets. That is going to be Movistar maybe getting one more kill on the Kroghsen, who is able to respawn having died at the very beginning.
I think it's about to go down. In the meantime, that was all a 4v5. beansu just focused on the top lane, just sticking to the split push Maokai. Keep this game under control. Movistar take that with a commanding lead.
That is what you'd expect out of them as well. While they might have dropped the game to kick, this is more what we expect of them. This is the Movistar that beat Schalke 04 evolution. With that, I gotta say that this is making it an interesting group. We have a lot of groups that are going to be hotly contested going into that final, well, for their final days, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's it. Now, especially with the double round robin allowing them to reset, you're starting to see the strength level maybe coming out that little bit more.
All right, well, we're going to break down that game in just a little bit. We're going to toss it to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Movistar's dominating performance.
Magic. 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 Magic.
Vous comprenez maintenant pourquoi j'ai créé la Magic? En un clip, vous devenez Magic.
La monture avec ses 2 clips pour 149 €.
C'est Magic.
Dispositif médical.
This is my creed. The boots that make me faster. The items that make me stronger. The potions that I drink. I get the best to be more powerful, so my champion rises to the top. But all this leveling up means nothing if I don't level up myself. It's the healthy potions I drink in real life that make me stronger. Because you can only rule the game when you realize you are your most important champion. To play like a pro, eat like a pro.
slow. The sun is high, but I wish I could bathe in the moonlight. Ooh, this is it now, come out of the shadow. Make the walls fall. Memory is headed for disaster. Heart is beating slow. I hear the words, I see the ghost of laughter in the afterglow. Ooh, this is it now, come out of the shadow. This is it now, come out of the shadow.
Willkommen Z, we're back here and we're gonna talk about Movistar taking on and destroying Team Singularity. This is what we wanted to see from Movistar after not the best performance against Kick Neosurf. They had a hard time when it came to facing an early game comp, but this time they figured out what they needed to do to improve on the early game and find victory.
Yeah, and I think the big thing as well, there's a nice step up for the SLO. They want to show that Spain is still this hard contending region, so really nice to see them again put their stamp back into this group after, as you said, an unfortunate loss.
It was an unfortunate loss, and that does happen with this draft. It was what we wanted to see adapt and change from them. That they learned that going purely for late game scaling comps does not always work, and you need to be more than just the one-trick ponies. You have to find a new composition, and this is what I want to see out of them. Playing aggressively, finding these good kites around. JaVaaa right there, I gotta give credit when it comes to being able to save your Rakan constantly over and over again, be able to pull rhuckz out and keep them alive.
Yeah, but I think the standout performers were definitely in the mid lane, in the jungle, Eloya as well, on that Qiyana, on the kind of signature Qiyana coming out big, but also Xico finding consistent picks as the LeBlanc. Yes, it's a counter matchup, but still not nearly as easy as he made it look.
No, right here you can see Kroghsen had a miserable time against Xico's LeBlanc. Always looking for those assassinations, constantly being able to pick. JaVaaa here was a bit overextended without the team, but still was almost able to turn it around on Taric, where then you see this wraparound. Eloya looking for that flank on Taric. And this is all because you're able to have beansu pop that Blam's Respite, that you get the burst out and get the kill.
Yeah, and that was consistent showing when the Kindred tried to set up the Lance Respite, when you tried to see the survivability, it was the Qiyana running in, bursting, knocking out, and just taking him out before the Cosmic Radiance landed. Beautifully done.
You can see the standings for Group C. Movistar Riders Team Singularity have now played everyone else one time. Kick Neosurf and Schalke 04 Evolution are going to be taking on each other next. This is a crucial game for both, because if Schalke are able to find this victory, be able to take down the Ultraliga number one right now. They played in the play-ins and were able to make it here. They're looking strong. They're looking like they could actually beat the crowd favorite, the tournament favorites that all the analysts had pegged going in.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this goes going forward, especially with the Ultraliga having had, I don't want to say surprisingly clean performances, but honestly, I am somewhat surprised with how well they have been playing. Yes, there's been some faltering yesterday, and maybe that's where the DACH region side of Schalke looked to punish.
Well, that was just from a Go Rogue. Kick have been looking fantastic for a team that was in the play-ins. That was the number 2 of Ultraliga, had to play in the play-ins. They came out in a force so far.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can take 3-0 in your group, that's going to be one way to really stamp your foot down.
Well, we'll have to find out. We're going to toss it to a break, and when we come back, it's going to be Dracos and Foxtrot taking over for myself and Celtic Tiger. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.